Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, my friends, to the Saturday Morning Vibe. If you would like to be part of the program this morning, 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. 800-848-9222. It is early morning on the left coast of America. Welcome to all of our California folks who are up in the wee hours of the morning, and of course everywhere else in America and abroad. So much to discuss, ladies and gentlemen, on this Saturday morning. Of course, today was the funeral in Italy, Rome, for Pope Francis. He has been laid to rest. President Trump there. We also have student loans that have been the topic of conversation all week long. I think what we're going to do, I asked Carlos if he would mind just throughout the program, just letting us hear from Americans that have been voicing their opinions over student loans on social media. And some of them are, you may have heard one or two of them during the week because I've been playing these all week, but we have some new ones as well. And new voices. So there's that. This, of course, the big story this morning, besides the Pope being laid to rest, is the arrest of a judge out in Milwaukee, and of course the left in America losing their minds over that. Arrested for her actions concerning an illegal immigrant. We will get to that shortly. And there are other things. Of course, we were expecting. Lizzie is off this week. Lizzie's out probably at some, I don't know where Lizzie is. She doesn't have to tell me where she goes, but I imagine that she's at some extravaganza, some great concert or festival or something. We're expecting, unless Princess Di is still tied up with her affairs of state. You know, Princess Di has a vast kingdom, and or queendom, as it were, and she has to visit the provinces and visit her peeps throughout. She may even be in Rome, for all I know. Anyway, we're expecting if Princess Di is securedly back where there is communication available to us, we're expecting to hear from Princess Di, and of course America's small caffeinated mom, Rhonda Schrock, will be joining us a little bit later in the program. Your calls, of course, very, very welcome. 800-848-9222 is, again, how you reach us. The Associated Press reports that the President Donald Trump, paid his respects to a pope who publicly and pointedly disagreed with him, and he also met with President Zelenskyy, the first face-to-face conversation between Trump and the Ukrainian leader since the two had that very heated discussion in the Oval Office late February. Trump arrived at the Vatican with his wife, our First Lady, Melania Trump, and was seated in the front row, not far away from French President Emmanuel Macron. It was an outdoor service. He said he was going to the funeral out of respect for the pontiff. Francis sharply disagreed with Trump's approach on issues including immigration, the treatment of migrants, and climate change. The Argentine pontiff and the American president sparred early in their relationship over immigration. In 2016, Francis alluded to then candidate Donald Trump and his campaign slogan of "Build the Wall." He said anyone that builds a wall to keep out migrants, not Christian, even though there's a wall around the Vatican, and they have never addressed that. A total wall and a lot of security around the Vatican. Trump at the time said his comments were disgraceful, but after the Pope passed away, the Republican president praised him as a good man who worked hard and loved the world. And the two are not inconsistent. You can have disagreements with people and still think that they're good people. There's nothing inconsistent about that. One person Trump, according to the Associated Press, did not expect to have any interactions with was former President Joe Biden, who was there, a practicing Roman Catholic, says AP, who attended with his wife Jill. Biden, wearing his signature aviator sunglasses, was seated several rows behind Trump, who had said he didn't know his Democrat predecessor would be at the funeral. Asked if they would meet, he says, "It's not high on my list. It's really not." Trump, meanwhile, drew the public's attention for wearing a dark blue suit and a lighter blue tie in a sea of mournful black attire. Oh, he wore dark blue instead of black. Woo-hoo. Anyway, if you have any comments regarding the Pope, the loss of the Pope, they are welcomed as well. I read an article yesterday written by Karen Tumulty in the Washington Post about one of the bishops who is just over the top with criticism for people that supposedly don't have compassion for migrants. He himself was an illegal immigrant who did become legal before joining the church. Maybe I'll dig that article out again because some of it is infuriating. And this idea that, and I pushed back strongly on this yesterday on my weekday show, that people that disagree with immigration are somehow lacking compassion. I think many of us, and I would hope that all of us, look at people, regardless of their immigration status, as being deserving of respect, dignity, love, with the exception of, and I maybe no exceptions, but we also want to see those people who violate the law in heinous ways punished appropriately. We also recognize that, and I am just frankly beyond it, past it with criticism of American citizens who obey the law, who expect the law to be obeyed by everyone, being cast somehow as being evil because we want our country to enforce the laws of the land when it comes to immigration. Illegal immigrants don't get a pass from the law. American citizens should not get a pass from the law. We should all be held accountable to the law, unless, of course, that law is so egregiously unjust and immoral that it would cause civil disobedience, and those cases are very rare. We've had those issues in America. Every nation on the face of this earth has a right, every sovereign nation, to decide who can come into their country and under what conditions. That is not anything that violates morality. That is statehood. That is nationhood. That is the way that people have decided to organize and govern themselves. Now, if those laws are specifically aimed in an immoral way, they do need to be challenged. But there is nothing about the law saying that if you want to come into America, here's how you apply to do it. There's nothing about that is immoral. Is there a need to reform immigration law in America? Absolutely. That need has been here for ages. And we have in America a Congress, be it Republican or Democrat controlled, that has been unwilling to deal with the hard issues of immigration, because some of them are going to require decisions to be made that may not be popular. I would love to see an immigration system in America that recognizes that we have needs, for instance, in the agricultural or construction industries that are not being met currently by American citizens. Can they be met by American citizens? Perhaps they can. And perhaps we need to force that. Can they be met by increased automation or new ways of doing things? Perhaps they can. But at present, we had situations where, and we don't close our eyes to it, where produce was falling on the ground with nobody to collect it in some cases. And that's with our broken immigration system. That's with this unprecedented lack of enforcement at the borders under Joe Biden that let over 6 million, maybe more, illegal immigrants cross the border. So yeah, there's a lot to this, but one thing is for sure. American people, for the most part, and I know there are exceptions, but American people don't hate immigrants. All of us, many of us, can trace our background to immigrants, forced or unforced, into this. Everybody immigrated into, quote unquote, America, except for, well, everybody did at one point, except for the indigenous Americans who were here. We don't hate immigrants, but what we do, we want our laws respected. All right, we're going to talk about this judge. We've got some other things to do when we get back. James Golden, it is a Snerdley Saturday morning. What is this, Carlos? What are we leading off with here? Oh, this sounds like that Destiny.
We did this again during the week.
Destiny. Yeah, who is it?
Yeah, because on this day in 2001, Destiny's Child were number one on the UK chart with this. Janet Jackson was at number one in the US, All For You. Oh, that's what you want. Okay. And Shaggy and Ricardo Rick Rock, Do Sun?
Yeah. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Australian.
Great song.
Yeah, it wasn't, yeah. Oh, there's a Beyonce story in the news today. You want me to read you the headline?
Might as well. I mean, we got the song.
I sent it to Lizzie before I found out she wasn't going to be here. It says, let's see. Oh, darn it, I can't find the story. Here, I'll give you the gist of it. Said music fans are mocking Beyonce because the Carter, here it is, here's the headline, Daily Mail. Beyonce mercilessly mocked as tickets for the flop Cowboy Carter tour reached the same price as a McDonald's meal. There's more to this. And I'm not going to mock Beyonce. We're coming back. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
When a judge orders someone to be brought back from El Salvador, why is no one enforcing it? Where is rule of law? They have no problem deporting terrified families, but when a judge tells them to undo the damage, they just don't do it. This isn't about law and order, it's about control, about who deserves protection and who the system sees as disposable. If we ignore this, if they can ignore court orders for immigrants, what else can they ignore next? Justice without enforcement is a lie. We either fight back now or get used to living in a system that chooses cruelty.
Hey, folks, the left is angry. They're angry people these days. 1980, Blondie goes to number one. Across the pond with this one. It was featured in the movie American Gigolo, featuring, of course, Richard Gere. Cola Me. Producer Giorgio Moroder, who, by the way, he's got some other things going on. Yes. Princess Di's here. But I don't know what she's going to talk about. She'll be with us. She's visiting one of the provinces out there. So we may have to reach her via Starlink or something. She's out with the peeps. Blondie. Okay, let's get to it. The left is upset as can be over this judge. Over the judge. Pam Bondi, I played yesterday a bunch of newscasts that did not go into detail with what the judge did. Only Donald Trump arrested the judge. The Kash Patel, the FBI arrested a judge. How unusual is this? How horrible is this? How everything is this? It's bad. It's bad. Do we have time for the Pam Bondi cut? If cut 20, I believe it is. If we have time, let's play. Pam Bondi explained what happened when she was on Fox.
And to set the stage for you and Sandra, this was truly horrific. This guy was in court being prosecuted by a state prosecutor for domestic violence battery. He had beat up two people, a guy and a girl, hit the guy 30 times, knocked him to the ground, choked him, beat up a woman so badly they both had to go to the hospital. And John, you know, it's so rare for victims to want to cooperate. They wanted to cooperate. They were sitting in the courtroom with the state prosecutor. The judge learns that ICE was outside to get the guy because he had been deported in 2013, came back in our country, commits these crimes, charged with committing these crimes, victims in court. Judge finds out. She goes out in the hallway, screams at the immigration officers. She's furious, visibly shaken, upset, sends them off to talk to the chief judge. She comes back in the courtroom. You're not going to believe this. Takes the defendant and the defense attorney back in her chambers, takes them out a private exit and tells them to leave. While a state prosecutor and victims of domestic violence are sitting in the courtroom.
This judge obstructed justice. Allege. And her profile on LinkedIn, this Judge Dugan, a member of left-leaning groups, League of Women Voters, the Milwaukee Turners, the NAACP. She also led the local chapter of the pro-immigration Catholic Charities. Claims to be nonpartisan. But none of that matters. What she did matters. And that is why she was arrested. The complaints are coming in from every liberal quarter you can think of. We'll have some of those, and your calls also. So don't go anywhere.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Loom by Atlassian. Are you feeling stuck at work? Get your team unstuck with Loom video messaging and move work forward. Use Loom to simultaneously record both your screen and yourself to share a quick update, provide feedback, train a colleague, and everything in between. Plus, add Loom AI to your meetings for instant written notes and recordings. Try Loom today at Loom.com. That's LOOM.com.
This episode is brought to you by GM Genuine Parts and AC Delco. Get the most out of your vehicle with GM Genuine Parts and AC Delco original equipment. The only parts designed, engineered, tested, and backed by General Motors. You can find your perfect fit for most makes and models and choose from 3 tiers of parts, including GM OE or gold and silver aftermarket parts. Visit gmparts.com for more information.
Your snacking routine can get a little dull. Time for an Oikos remix. Like a crunchy storm of sea salt praline pretzels, dark chocolate, and butter toffee, showering down into a smooth, creamy yogurt. Enjoy 3 Oikos remix varieties with epic mix-ins and 11 grams of complete protein per 4.5-ounce serving. See remixyogurt.com.
We're shipping Mother's Day gifts with a rapid-fire round of questions. Ready?
Yes. My gift. Can you pack it?
Yep.
Ship it?
Yes.
Guarantee it?
Of course.
Oh, send gift baskets?
For sure.
Protect electronics? Dog-proof it? Return it if they hate it?
Yes, no, and yeah.
Are you the UPS store?
Hey, we have a winner!
Visit theupsstore.com/guarantee for full details. Most locations are independently owned. Product services, prices, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Visit a store today.
The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I am admitting I'm not a woman of great faith. So I'm going to need one of you women with great faith to start praying for Donald's heart to stop. Okay. If Harriet Tubman can manifest it, so can we. Okay, think about it. Bye.
They are out of their minds, folks. Oh, who'd you say this was, Carlos? Why are you shaking your head? Come on, Carlos. Come on.
I want to say, oh my God, Bobby Riddle.
Bobby Riddle?
No,
yeah.
Riddle. Riddle?
Yeah, Riddle. That'll work.
Oh,
Bobby
okay.
Riddle. Birthday today, my friends. Heavenly birthday it is for American singer Bobby Riddle, who passed away 3 weeks before his 80th birthday on April 5th, 2022. But, of course, this was a huge one for him back in 1960. Wild one. He had 17 other top 40 hits. And, Carlos, I love having fun with you because I don't expect you to know a lot of these songs, some of them. So it's always...
I don't know the names either, so...
Well, yeah. Well, some of them I haven't heard in years. Like this, I haven't heard this song in years. Wild one. The beginning of rock, as it were. All right. We had Pam Bondi explaining what this character did. Princess Diana, by the way, is going to be with us. We're going to talk about, I think, a few things. Princess Di, just an alert out there, Princess Di. I may want to ask you your opinion, Princess Di, about some of these student loan things. Because as I listen to some of these kids, a few of them, it's like, oh, well, that's a good point with some of them, but we'll get to that. I may. Anyway, you heard Pam Bondi, ladies and gentlemen, explain exactly what this judge did and who the defendant was. Now, most of the other news coverage from the mainstream press doesn't even bother mentioning what the defendant did, why he was in court, because they don't see that as germane to the story. The only thing that's germane to the story is their rage over a judge being held accountable. Let's listen to a few of them. There's a story in the Daily BS today. Let's see. Democrat mayor complains for 5 minutes about the arrest of a judge who allegedly escorted illegal away from ICE. Democratic Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson spent 5 minutes Friday accusing President Donald Trump of making his city less safe after a judge was arrested on charges of obstructing agents of the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. Rather than read the story, we have some of the rant. That would be cut 5 of Mayor Cavalier Johnson from Milwaukee after the judge was arrested. And this is Mayor Johnson.
The priorities of the senator are towards a criminal illegal alien that's not even a constituent of his in Maryland. Here's the thing about MS-13. MS-13 has 2 major hubs in the United States. They're all over the United States.
Because this is not the mayor. It's supposed to be the mayor. That doesn't sound like the mayor. Cut 5 is what I said. It's supposed, well, that's it. We got a mix up somewhere. Because that's not Mayor Cavalier Johnson. We'll find Cavalier Johnson for you. We'll play him later. In the meantime, though, let's check in with our old buddy. You have him?
Is ordered. There'll be a court appearance. That didn't happen in this case. I think what happened here was just showboating. They're just trying to have this show of force. And in the process of doing this in a courthouse where people need to go for court proceedings, they're scaring people away from participating in the process. So if they are witness to a crime or something of the sort, they're not going to go and participate, and that makes our community less safe.
So the issue is with how the arrest happened, not necessarily that there was an investigation.
Again, I don't know all the things that happened there, but I'm saying that the way that they went about this, in this ham-handed, haphazard way that this administration has been doing since day one, it's driving people away, or has potential to drive people away from participating in court proceedings, which makes our community less safe. I want people to go to court. I want people to have their day in court. I want people to hold folks accountable in our judicial system, but the actions of this administration are driving people away from doing that, and that's not good for public safety in Milwaukee.
Do you believe this man should be deported?
I'm sorry?
Do you believe this man should be deported?
I don't know any information about the man. I'm talking specifically about the Trump administration.
Pause it right there. First of all, this mayor of a major city goes out, doesn't know anything about the damn case at all. But he goes out running his mouth about Donald Trump and the ham-handed way that they did it. Doesn't know anything about the case. Doesn't know anything about the defendant. Doesn't know exactly what happened. Makes the claim that people will not go to court because of this, and that's going to make Milwaukee less safe. The guy sitting in the courtroom beat 2 people mercilessly. Does that make Milwaukee less safe? You've got a guy who was deported, who came back even though he was deported, who then beats up a woman and beats up the woman's friend mercilessly. You have the defendant, the victims in the courtroom. Ready to testify against him. And this mayor stands up, well, you know, the ham-handed way that Donald Trump administration is like they do everything else, the ham-handed way that they're doing this is potentially going to make our city less safe. People won't want to come to the courtroom. People won't want to come to the courtroom if the judge is going to sneak out the defendants. Instead of because she's pissed off because ICE is in her courtroom and she doesn't like the actual law enforcement mechanism of the federal government to control immigration. She was outraged that agents from the federal government were in her courtroom, and that's what prompted all of this. And this mayor has the audacity to stand up and doesn't know a damn thing about the actual case. But all he knows is he hates Donald Trump. And so, well, the ham-handed way that Donald Trump is doing, this is all I know, Donald Trump, they're doing this wrong. These people are, their TDS, I so badly want to call this mayor some names. I am restraining myself. But I will say that his approach to dealing with this presser, this impromptu press conference, is idiotic. He's not even prepared. They don't even, his staff or someone didn't even prepare him to go out and speak. Like, basic, what happened? Who was involved? He just goes out in front of the press and starts blathering about Donald Trump and the administration being wrong, doesn't have a damn fact under his belt to even justify his conclusion that what happened is wrong. He claims people are not going to want to come to courtroom. The people that were hurt by alleged criminal actions were in the courtroom. They were denied a chance to have justice served. But he doesn't know that because he doesn't know a thing about the case. And he's only the mayor. Anyway, continue with what's left of. Never mind, we've heard from him. Let's go to another esteemed member of the left. Cut one. If you recognize this voice, ladies and gentlemen, you have a decent memory because he's fastly fading from memory. But you may recognize the voice. Cut one.
Is this what we've come to? A judge being arrested by the FBI. A judge in Wisconsin was arrested by the FBI. They're accusing her of at least misleading ICE agents or throwing them off the trail of someone that they deem to be an illegal alien, as they call them, or an undocumented person. It's really scary. Kash Patel was behind it. He put up a tweet. He has since deleted it. I want to know what's going on. Is this where we're living in a time where you can detain judges because they're not doing what you want them to do? What happened to the independence of the judiciary? We're supposed to have 3 branches of government.
That man, Donald Trump once called the stupidest man on television, or something to that effect. I'm not calling him that. He used to be on CNN, and then he tried to make a deal with Twitter, and it didn't twerk. So now he's out there doing his thing, and again, doesn't know the facts of the case. Spouting off, doesn't know. The judge wasn't arrested because, play that one more time. Let's listen to Don Lemon's rationale for what happened here. Go ahead.
Is this what we've come to? A judge being arrested by the FBI. A judge in Wisconsin was arrested by the FBI. They're accusing her of at least misleading ICE agents or throwing them off the trail of someone that they deem to be an illegal alien, as they call them. Or
all right, stop it right there. Don, you're supposed to be a newsman. That is not the reason. They arrested her because she obstructed justice. She participated in helping an illegal immigrant escape from ICE, which is a crime. In fact, Don, since you don't like people on the right, since you don't think they know what they talk about, let's talk to one of your guys, the former Southern District of New York, former U.S. attorney, who was on the network you used to be on, Don, CNN, Ellie Honig. Cut 3. Listen to on CNN very quickly. He'll explain it to you, Don.
Looking at the complaint, let's strip the politics out of it. This is a crime. If they can prove what happened here, it is a crime. This judge, let's strip the Trump of it all out. Let's strip the immigration of it all out. Let's say law enforcement shows up at a building with an arrest warrant. They're looking for person A. Person B then says, hey, there's a secret escape door out back. I'm going to show you the way, and then ushers that person out the back door. That is textbook obstruction.
Do you understand, Don? This isn't about, I'm scared. If they can do it, let's do a judge. Oh, they can do it. This is none of it. This is basic 1, 2, 3 criminal behavior. You helped a person that the authorities were looking for escape. Despite all of the stuff. Now, you also have other people on CNN. There was Harry Littman. Different point of it. Let's listen to Harry. Cut two. And this is, Harry.
This is her courtroom, Boris, and she's in control of her courtroom. We've never had a case like this. The only one that resembles it is one in which the judge took actual steps to deceive and prevent ICE from coming in. She handled it and said, look, if you want to make an arrest, don't do it in my courtroom. Don't exploit it. You can do it on the street. There's no principle that says she has to somehow aid them in their facilitation of the arrest of this man. I think I agree it's a real escalation, but I think it's hyperbolic at best to say she was harboring a fugitive. She was saying, not in my courtroom. And I think this is not just an aggressive, but probably an over-aggressive move by the Bureau. My best guess is that this case is going to collapse because you need to have corrupt intent. It's not just enough to not want him to be arrested. You need to have corrupt intent under federal law. And it's one thing if you do positive steps to deceive, but simply to say, well, you're in my courtroom, you can exit here, enter here, and he's still arrested. I don't think they're going to be able to show it. And in any event, it is an extremely aggressive move against a sitting state judge.
Harry, can we just talk about how many layers
Harry,
of
that's
norms?
enough. We've heard it. I thank you, Harry. Harry, let me just correct you on something. It is not her courtroom. She doesn't own the courtroom. She doesn't own the process. She is a judge in a courtroom owned by the people, the taxpayers, the society, the United States of America, in which she is in a municipality. It is not her damn courtroom. And she's there to adjudicate the law. And it's not her law. It is the law, in this case, federal law. And she violated it. And she helped a criminal, an alleged criminal, escape. And this is not just some little slap on the wrist. Oh, it's nothing. It's her courtroom. She can do what she wants to. Ain't no damn sanctuary court, pal. This is American law that she violated. So you can sit up with this. This is her courtroom. Like she has her own little fiefdom. And that's how many of these liberal judges operate. It's my courtroom. I'll do what I want regardless of the law because I hate Trump and I hate these right-wingers. I hate these people and I'm going to just use my courtroom to issue my rulings regardless of the law. Well, guess what, pal? We are finally getting some pushback on it, including you are under arrest. James Golden, Snerdley. I can find the words to tell you exactly how I feel. I love you, darling. Of course, the brilliance of Tom Bell producing and the stylistics. Tomorrow's the birthday, actually, of Herb Merrill with the stylistics. Of course, this one became an iconic song released in 1974. Russell Tompkins Jr. here. Yes. The Saturday Morning Vibe. We will be back. Your telephone calls coming up. Lizzie's out on vacation this week. So if you're on hold, stay on hold. We may get to some calls in the first segment of the next hour. Princess Di will be here a little bit later, along with America's small caffeinated mom, Rhonda Schrock, all on our Saturday morning vibe.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
20-year-old David Suarez was taken into custody Wednesday after a resource officer at Daleville High School called reporting that a teen girl was claiming she had been sexually assaulted in Level Plains. Police say they interviewed the victim and her family and identified Suarez as the suspect. They add he is an undocumented immigrant from Honduras, and if found guilty, he will be deported.
I could fill the show with those kind of reports every week. Birthday tomorrow. Who's the birthday, Carlos? Who's the birthday girl?
Some woman out there. I want to say Sheena.
Yeah, Sheena.
Okay, Sheena Easton, right?
Yeah, Sheena Easton. Yeah. Everybody knows Sheena Easton. She had this big hit. You didn't know her?
I knew the song.
Okay. It went to number one in 1981. Scottish singer Sheena Easton, 9 to 5 also was one of her hits with Dolly Parton. And she did the James Bond theme for Your Eyes Only. That was a really great piece of music. You Got the Look she did with Prince. We've Got Tonight with Kenny Rogers. Sheena Easton celebrating her birthday tomorrow. James Golden, Snerdley. Okay, let's start with the telephones, shall we? Let's go to Ralph in New Rochelle, New York. Ralph, how are you?
I'm doing well, Mr. Golden. Thank you for taking my call. I just want to preface this conversation by saying I am not against legal immigration. I'm against the illegal immigration and people that come in and use our social services that are funded by our taxpayer and our taxpayer dollars. And I believe the Catholic Church, through their Catholic charities, has helped funded this illegal immigration to the point that they want to bring these people here so they could fill the pews and put the money in the collection plate. If their spiritual life is so important, why don't they send the priest down to their country to take care of the flock of their...
Well, I don't have time to respond to that right now, but I will perhaps on the other side of the hour. Interesting point of view. James Golden, Snerdley, it is the Saturday Morning Vibe. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. Coming up later in the program, Princess Di will be here. Coming up later in the program, America's small caffeinated mom, Rhonda Schrock. Our Uno in the can, our number duo coming up. Do not go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, my friends, to our number duo here on our Saturday Morning Vibe. If you would like to be part of the program this morning, 800-848-9222 is how you reach us, 800-848-9222. We took a call at the end of our number uno from a gentleman who had the opinion that the Catholic Church is behind a lot of the advocacy, what is behind a lot of the advocacy for illegal immigration by members of the Catholic Church is a monetary gain, that they want to fill the pews of churches. There is no doubt, my friends, that the Catholic Church as an institution over the last few decades, these things are inarguable. They are fact. They have had declining membership among some of what used to be the bedrock of the Catholic Church in America. Many people left the church for various reasons, including the stories that emerged of rampant child abuse and the sexual abuse of minors. That damaged the church terribly, and it was costly. There have been millions of dollars that have had to be paid out to victims of that abuse. It is unfair, however, to just say that this is a problem that the Catholic Church endured by itself. If you look at child abuse, child trafficking, the sexual abuse of children, along with other aspects of human trafficking, it is not just a problem that has affected one institution like the Catholic Church. It is a widespread problem in societies around the world. Let's face facts, folks. There are a lot of perverts in this world, and it's one thing to just say perverts. There are a lot of evil, abusing, criminal, heinous perverts in many quarters of this earth. The Catholic Church has had its share. Other churches, other denominations, other religions had it. In fact, there was a story in the Daily Mail about a Republican legislator who took his daughter on some trip in Las Vegas and plied her with liquor, and she woke from a stupor to find herself being molested by her dad. That story was splashed across the headlines, I think, yesterday or the day before. There are a lot of people in this world who have been afflicted with just unimaginable cases of horror regarding sexuality. That, I don't believe, is new, but we are seeing it in greater numbers, I think, or maybe it's just that it's being reported more than ever before on planet Earth. Certainly, there is a move, the Catholic Church growth in Africa. In fact, there is a news story today about someone, a gentleman that is being one of the bishops that hails from Africa that is more conservative, and there was a story about him perhaps being elevated to be the next pope. I don't put too much stocks in any of those stories. You never know what that process is like as they go into the conclave. So you just don't know. But certainly that church has looked to South America, Asia, and Africa as points of growth. I think it's unfair to say that the sole motivation for the Catholic Church to support illegal immigration into the United States is a desire to fill the pews. But I don't think at the same time we can deny what has taken place. And what has taken place in many aspects, well, at least in some news reporting, Todd Bensman did some amazing work when the immigration crisis under Joe Biden was raging out of control over the work that the United Nations was doing and Catholic charities. And he pointed out, one I will never forget, and I forget the name, but it was a Jesuit-based order on the other side of the border to help illegal immigrants avoid being denied entry into the United States. They pretty much helped them lie so that they could get past the border. Now, many of us look at that, we wonder, there's an article that I read yesterday written by Karen Tumulty in a columnist with the Washington Post. The article, a one-time migrant, now a bishop, asked Catholics, do we have a heart? He's asking Catholics, do they have a heart? He's an auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of Washington, appointed by Pope Francis, Avilio Menjivar Ayala. Addressed these days as Your Excellency, but 35 years ago, 19-year-old, fleeing his life from the war-torn mountain village in El Salvador, where he came, smuggled into the United States through Mexico in the trunk of a car, illegal, working manual labor jobs, didn't know English, 9th grade education. He entered a years-long process of applying for asylum. He got it, eventually a work permit. He helped run the youth program at a parish in Silver Springs, Maryland. Much has happened, she said, since she first wrote about him. And he watches, this priest does, in dismay as what is happening today. He says he feels very much a part of the migrant community here in the United States in Washington, D.C. He's talking about immigrants. He's talking about himself, his own experience, his own fears and hopes. The reality that we're living these days, you have the fear to be detained, to be stopped, and then to be sent to prison without due process. And that is a Democrat Party talking point, this business that there's no due process. More troubling to the bishop are the inaction and silence on the part of Catholics. And many of you in this audience who are of Catholic faith might want to weigh in on this. More troubling to the bishop are the inaction and silence on the part of Catholics themselves, a majority of whom voted for President Donald Trump. He complains. Some are complacent. And not only because they are silent, but because somehow they're celebrating what Trump is doing. Nor does Menjivar spare some of his fellow clergy from his criticism. Priests are not necessarily afraid, but they think they shouldn't be talking about this issue. It's not their concern. And that's why the Pope kept asking us, do we have a heart? Or are we losing our conscience and our heart? Because it seems like many people are not moved by the suffering of others. That's very pitiful. And these attacks on Catholics, these attacks on Trump voters, you don't have a heart. Do you have a heart? How do you not have a conscience? I take a great offense to some of this because people that I know that are Catholic, that also believe in following the laws. Look, folks, this is what used to be taught in Catholic schools all around America, back when they were actually teaching. They were teaching young children how to be moral, how to be moral citizens in the country that they lived, how to incorporate their faith into their life and be a part of society. By being good, law-abiding citizens. And again, I want to stipulate that I understand there are moments in countries, including our own, where laws were unjust. And no one's talking about being faithful to unjust laws that target people because of the color of their skin, because of some other aspect of their being that has nothing to do with character or their behavior. this idea that if you voted for Trump and you're Catholic, then you're part of the problem is dead wrong. It used to be that the church actually was the place that was one of the pillars in society that kept society from veering too far into immorality by teaching that you are supposed to obey the just laws of your country. And immigration laws in America, like them or not, are the right of the government and the right of the state to say who can come in the country and under what circumstances. And for members of the Catholic Church, including the priesthood, to just turn a blind eye to the law and say that we have to ignore it, to me, is just a disservice to people. Should we be compassionate to people? Absolutely. Should we treat people with dignity, with respect? Absolutely. Should we treat people with love? Absolutely. Should we love people? Should we be compassionate to their circumstance? Absolutely. It breaks my heart, and it probably breaks many of your heart, to see parents so desperate that they will send their children unaccompanied for thousands of miles on it. You wonder how awful their life is. What I don't understand is why these same people do not raise their voices at the governments of some of these nations. Honduras right now is one of the most crime-ridden countries on the face of the earth. The murder rate is astronomical. Instead of chastising Trump voters who want the law followed, why are they not raising their voices at what is going on in Honduras? Why are they not raising their voices at what went on in El Salvador before the present president down there cleaned up this gang activity to the point that El Salvador is now one of the safest nations that people can go to in South America and Central America? Why have they never complained over and over again loudly about the corruption in Mexico that leads to the poverty that keeps people oppressed? Instead, no, what they do is turn their attention on Americans as if we are bad when we spend more money on illegal immigrants probably than any other nation in this hemisphere. Over in Europe, it's a mess too. I think the priorities of some of these churches and institutions are way off base. They have been overrun with liberals. And you see it in so many different instances. They flip-flop on issues of the day. It used to be there were very clear teachings about what was right, what was moral from a sexual standpoint. Those are all gone. All gone. I just got a text. No one brings up the fact that the Pope said to vote for the lesser of two evils. Donald Trump is pro-life. The evil of abortion was put aside, and that was even though the Pope did talk about abortion. Two evils? There have been millions killed in the genocidal structure, which is racist, by the way, and comes from racist origins of abortion. Do they focus on that? No. They focus on Trump voters are evil. Trump people are evil because they want the laws of their land actually upheld for everybody. We don't hate immigrants. We want the laws of our nation followed. It is really simple to understand if you care to understand it. A lot of people don't care to understand it because it doesn't fit in with their political ideology. And of course, we're talking about all of this. And what do we have? We have this really highly sexualized song from Donna Summer. Thanks, Carlos.
Anytime.
Thank you so much, Carlos. That's because Italian singer, songwriter, DJ, record producer Giorgio Moroder was born. He produced all of Donna Summer's 1976 hits, including this one that just raced around the world and broke out Donna Summer as an international artist. Love to love you, baby. Love to love you, baby. On the Saturday Morning Vibe. Thanks, Carlos.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You know, when you hear that music that we're getting ready to go, reach the halfway point in the show, of course I ran my mouth all the way through. So the next break will be quick, I'm just saying. But in the meantime, I just want to bring your attention to one other story really quickly. And your calls are coming up. So if you're on hold, stay on hold. We're going to grab some calls quickly. California has found itself in Newsom, Gavin. I couldn't, anyway. They signed a law last year that let the State Energy Commission micromanage refineries. As a result, two of the biggest refineries, Valero and Phillips 66, are getting out of California. That is going to eliminate 20% of California's already refining capacity for gasoline over the next 12 months. They already have the highest gas prices in the nation, and now 20% of the production from refineries is getting ready to get out of the state because they managed it. Now, Gavin Newsom blamed the oil companies for running ads saying this was a bad idea. Now, Gavin Newsom is suddenly saying that the Energy Commission needs to mend fences with the oil companies and come to some accommodation with the oil companies in California, because the already sky-high prices for gasoline in California are going to rise through the roof. I don't have much sympathy. All right, stay there, folks. We're coming back. Your calls coming up here on the Saturday Morning Vibe. 800-848-9222. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Now, it's time for Protecting Your Future, sponsored by Colonial Metals Group. Here's James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Yes, my friends, protecting your future. This week, let's talk about a new tax revolt that is happening. And if you are a homeowner, you may decide that you need to be a part of this. This story is at Market Watch this week, of all places. A property tax revolt is underway across the country. And they say that the numbers they have in their article explain why. More than 72% of metropolitan areas with at least 200,000 residents saw above averages increases in their property tax bills last year, according to ATTOM, A-T-T-O-M, a property data and real estate analytics firm. Nationally, the average property tax bill on a single-family home increased by 2.7% in 2024. But in 157 of the 217 metropolitan areas, those are the areas with over 200,000 people living there, their tax bills jumped higher than that. Last year, for instance, the average homeowner paid $4,172 in property taxes, although it varies widely. If you are in New Jersey, homeowners' average paid over $10,000 a year property taxes. West Virginia homeowners paid the least. They paid $1,000 annual. New York is not even included in the stats. And when you get to some of those places, I remember in New York, back when Hillary Clinton moved up to Whitelandia in New York, the property taxes up there, and this was going, we're talking like almost over 25 years ago. Already the property taxes in that area were like $35,000 a year. Who knows what they are now? Anyway, these higher tax bills, 82% of people surveyed by LendingTree said that 82% budgeted for their property taxes this year, but 66% of them said their bills are higher than expected. So, what is happening? Record numbers of people now, when they get their property tax bills, are actually deciding to try to fight them. And this movement is spreading so fast that the vice president of the Tax Foundation says that this is creating a property tax revolt very similar to the revolt that started in California that led to Proposition 13, which capped annual property taxes there. So Prop 13, now the movement is spreading around the country to cap property taxes. So, if you look at your property tax bill and you decide that this is getting out of hand, instead of just, my words, not in any of the articles, grabbing the ankles, complain. What are you looking? Yeah, don't grab the ankles. Don't even, if you complain about, just contact your state government, your local government, and just tell them, no, this is getting outrageous. What can you do to mitigate it? Or it may be time for further action. Meaning, Democrats love this word, organized efforts to start to bring down the property taxes. And there is a higher percentage, I don't have it in front of me right now, but there is a high percentage now. 43% of homeowners are now concerned, 43%, that their property taxes have now risen to the point that they are too high. So there you go. Protect your future. Monitor what's going on with your property taxes. And if they are too high, let it be known. I promise telephones, we are going to do telephone calls right now. People have been waiting for, in some cases, over an hour. Let us go to New York City and catch up with Joseph. Joseph, how are you this morning?
Good Saturday morning to you, and God bless you, James. James Sheryl Crow was talking about using just one square toilet paper per dump. And on one of those things had a printed advertisement, transport all those trendy Iraqis back to El Salvador jails.
I don't know how those two stories collide together, but it's an interesting thing. The Tren de Aragua, there are still Democrats, as you know, that are loudly... this story, by the way, of the judge being arrested drove the El Salvador to Mr. Garcia story off the front pages for the moment. But it is still bubbling up out there. There is another story today about a judge in Louisiana who expressed concerns that the Trump administration deported a 2-year-old U.S. citizen to Honduras. Now, you would think that, reading from the headlines of this story, the Trump administration swooped in with ICE agents, asked the 2-year-old for his or her papers, and then hauled them off down and said, okay, we're going to put you on a plane down to Honduras. That's not how it worked. The mother was here illegally with other children that were illegal. The girl was born here, but what were they supposed to do? Separate the family? The father had protested. He wasn't deported. So what were they supposed to do? Just give the girl to the dad or whatever? She was with her mother in her mother's custody. So they all got deported. The order issued by federal district court judge in the Western District of Louisiana, Judge Terry Dougherty, questioned why the administration had sent the child to Honduras with her mother, even though her father had sought an emergency petition to stop the girl from being sent. Because she was with her mother. And mother was getting deported. That's why. Simple. That's why. This is another reason why, by the way, this birthright case that is before the Supreme Court is actually really important and is going to be an important case. Eddie, in Staten Island, New York, you are up next. How are you?
Man, you just took the words right out of my mouth, because the point I was going to bring up, because I remembered it, is that many women that crossed the border were raped. Many of them now are pregnant. Where I work, I see a lot of young Hispanic and foreigners pregnant, and the births are coming everywhere. With the pending court decision on birth rights, I mean, this is going to make or break us in one particular way. Whether we can withstand this obscenity of failure of people who do not obey the law. President Trump is trying to resurrect the rule of law, and everyone is subject to the law, including judges, district attorneys, politicians who feel that they are untouchables. And I'm pleading with the American public across the country, in particular blacks and Hispanics, because we're the ones that are affected the most, to give President Trump the chance to do what he had to do to make this country run correctly. Yes, there are speed bumps on the way, high prices. I recently changed prices going up, but they're going to come down. Somewhere around June or July is what we anticipate. Prices are going to start stabilizing as negotiations on these tariffs come to fruition. Be patient. Be confident with President Trump. He is doing the right thing. Hey, I have a lot of humanity. I feel for people, but as you said earlier, these countries that these people are coming from need to change the way they treat their populace so they can stay there and get a government. And if they don't, these people have to do what we did over 250 years ago: stand up, fight for your rights, and create a government that works for you. James, you're the best. I love you, man.
Eddie, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate you. Ronnie is calling from California. Good morning from the left coast of America. Ronnie, how are you?
I'm fine, James, and you. I told you I was calling you back today.
Yes, you did. And here you are.
Yes. But anyway, that judge who made that ruckus about coming into her courtroom, didn't she step out into the quarter?
She did. As Pam Bondi said, Pam Bondi described this best. This woman, this judge, her clerk told her, there's ICE agents out here. There's ICE agents out here. And she flew into a rage. This is what is alleged. And she goes out into the hallway and berates the ICE agents who are there doing their job. How dare federal officials, law enforcement officials, go into her, quote unquote, her courtroom. They weren't even in her courtroom. But she's outraged that ICE agents are there, who are federal law enforcement people. And so she verbally lambasted them and then sent them to go see the Chief Justice while she smuggled the illegal immigrant accused of domestic violence, beating two people heinously, out of the courtroom so they could escape. This woman, yeah, please. judge. So what do you think about it, Ronnie?
I think it's horrible. I've been in many courtrooms, and never once in my capacity have I been invited to go back into the entrance where they allow the judges to leave and come and go and all the other staff. So it's just amazing to me that she would do something like that. And it just really sets a bad example for all those who were sitting in the quarter waiting for their cases to be heard to hear this nonsense. So it's. I told you we're in an upside-down world, and the law is for the lawless.
The law is for the lawless. And it is upside down. And you mentioned the people sitting in the courtroom. You heard that mayor of Milwaukee, who didn't even have any facts of the case, go on ranting about how Trump is this, Trump is that, without even knowing what the specifics are in the case. People will not want to come to court. The woman that had been beaten by this twice illegal immigrant, deported, came back. The woman and the other person who were beaten senseless by this guy were in the courtroom. And they got denied their chance at justice because of her actions. This is just unconscionable. Give you the last word, Ronnie.
Yeah, and it's really sad with the hands tied behind your back, and you're trying to explain to a family that you can only do so much because, you know, we have these district attorneys out here, but we do have a good one now. I think the one who took Gascon place is really doing something great. So for the legal system in terms of the sentencing and whatnot, these kids are not getting off as easily as they thought they were.
By the way, are you ready to pay higher gas prices?
No, not at all. And property taxes as well. I started off with like $3,000, 15, 16 years ago, and now I'm up to 10. So, no.
Good grief. Well, your gas prices are about to go up thanks to your governor and the Democrat legislature. 20% of your state's refinery capacity is going. Valero, Phillips 66, shutting down refineries there. You guys, you're already paying the highest gas prices in America. Get used to it, Ronnie. You're going to be paying higher.
Not for long. All right. Take care. Love you.
Okay, honey. All right. Love you. Thank you for the call. Appreciate you. Sandra's calling in from New Jersey. How are you, Sandra?
Good morning, James. I'm fine. I hope you are too. James, you know, I'm concerned about Putin and Donald Trump. I did read this morning, which is positive news, that Trump had a nice discussion with Zelenskyy at the funeral. So maybe something has to work on that end. But I think it's a lot of nerve that Putin, out of the blue, attacks Ukraine again. And I'm just concerned, like, what do we do? Do we stop warning him and start taking an action, or do we bow out completely, which might make us look like we're weak? I mean, what do you think, James? I think
first of all, I don't think it shows we're weak if we back out of this. This is Europe's problem. I think we stop trying to be the policeman for Europe. The Europeans want to be so engaged. They want to. Both of these are right on their doorstep. Let Europe deal with it. That's what I think. Europe. Here's your problem, Europe. Solve it. We're busy. We've got things to do on our own. I don't think that makes us look weak at all.
Well, I think I agree already. I think it's enough already with this. It's time to move on. We have other problems, like you say, and let those two deal with it, and that's it. Yep.
We're not sending you any more money. And by the way, Russia, just in case the sanctions that we had on you weren't enough, here's some more, by the way. But we're out. You guys deal with Europe. That's, I think, what we do next. Sandra, thank you for the call. We got to take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen. More of your calls coming up. Princess Diana on the way in the next hour, as well as America's small caffeinated mom, Rhonda Schrock. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Ladies in the audience, like Lady Benedict. Do you remember this? Lady Benedict, did you used to sing this? to Sir Bruce? I bet you did. You guys in the studio, you guys don't remember this. You weren't even born when this was the common sense. Yeah, this was the common sentiment across America back in the day.
I would say we don't know. What do you mean, remember?
This was, yes, I know. You poor guy. This is how it used to be. He'll always be my true love. I will follow him. Yes. And actually even make dinner once in a while. And sew for you. Yes. Make sure the house is clean. James Golden, Snerdley, coming back.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
To call Trump Hitler is to call over 80 million Americans, 35% of Jewish Americans, 56% of Hispanic men, and the majority of Americans who make under $100,000 a year, Nazis, because those are the people who gave Donald Trump his victory. And I just have a pro tip for any Democrats who are thinking about winning back the working class, those people who make under $100,000 a year, who a majority of whom voted for Trump. You should have a visceral disgust for someone like Larry David, who's worth $400 million, sitting there and sneering and smearing the hardest working Americans for refusing to co-sign their own disinheritance. That's effectively what they are doing when these millionaires come out here and call Trump Hitler. They are calling working class Americans Nazis because they chose the person they thought would give their children back the future they were promised by this country. And it just has to stop. And you know what? Honestly, I don't care if the Democrats get this or don't, but they should get this because this is a big part of why they have lost.
Yes. By the way, when we went into that last break with little Peggy March, it's the anniversary of her going to #1 tomorrow with the song I Will Follow Him, which the Countess of Conspiracy texted me during the break. And with an affirmation on that song because she followed her husband to another state, and she understands. And my dear friend, my heavenly friend Mike, well, that was one of his favorite songs, I understand. So love it, love it, love it. Gary, right, this one. I remember when this came out. This was so big. Birthday today, American singer-songwriter. He was a member of the band Spooky Tooth. 1976, this one broke. Happy birthday. Heavenly to Gary Wright, passed away. 2023, 80 years old. The music lives on. Princess Di's coming up in the next hour, ladies and gentlemen. I am undecided as to whether we should take more calls right now. I think we will while we have a chance. Let's grab Maria in New Jersey. Maria, thank you. Welcome for the call. How are you doing?
Hello, James. How are you today? I love listening to your show, and you sound like a big family over there. I have two quick comments on the Catholic Church. I'm going under a fictitious name because I'm an incest survivor. And you had mentioned that this happens everywhere, not just in the church. But my problem with the church is they're supposed to be held to a higher standard. You have people who are supposed to be emulating Jesus. They get up on the altar with a consecrated host and wine. They believe that is the body of Jesus Christ in the Catholic Church. So my question is, how do you hold that up as holy as it is and know you're abusing children and knowing that other priests or cardinals who ever move these guys around like a chessboard with unknowing people to be afflicted again by their behavior.
All right, I have to stop you there just for time. You make an eloquent point, one which I am sure we will discuss further. Hour number duo in the can. Hour number trio coming up. Keep it right there. Princess Di on the way. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, my friends, to hour number trio of our Saturday morning vibe. Glad you are here with us. As promised, ladies and gentlemen, the Ness is with us.
It's time for Radio Royalty with James Golden and America's Princess of Policy, Princess Di.
Yes, Her Royal Highness, who is out checking out many of the provinces of her wide and vast kingdom. She is, of course, the royal nest, the best nest, the only nest that we love so dearly, our very own Princess Diana. Welcome, Your Highness. How are you?
Thank you, Sir James. You are the Sirness, so that is appropriate.
I like it, the Sirness. Yes. I'm going to keep that. The Sirness. I am the Sirness indeed. You have been out exploring the vast provinces of your kingdom, and you missed the show this week during the week, but which of course we understand that. Everybody has time off except for me. You missed a very important anniversary, Princess Diana.
Really, Sirness? What was the anniversary I missed?
I'll tell you what the anniversary you missed. You missed the anniversary on Thursday. We had a caller that alluded to it earlier of the great intellectual giant and climate change advocate Sheryl Crow announcing in 2007, and you may remember this, Princess Diana, that America and the world should place a ban on using too much toilet paper. That's right. Sheryl Crow announced in 2007, this past week, Thursday, that the world was using too much toilet paper and that we should, humans, only use 1 square of toilet paper per restroom visit. 1 square of toilet paper unless you had one of those pesky occasions where 2 or 3 squares could be required. Sheryl Crow made that announcement on her website. She was touring in a biodiesel-powered bus to raise awareness for all of us about the harm of climate change. She also introduced a new clothing line, I don't think it's around anymore, that had a dining sleeve. The sleeve was detachable. You could detach the sleeve and use it to wipe your mouth while you were eating and then replace the sleeve with another sleeve on your clothing. And that way conserve napkins. So, 1 square of toilet paper per person unless you were having a bad day and you needed 2 or 3 squares. Now, you also might remember, Princess Diana, the reaction from EIB Network, which was this.
Now that Sheryl Crow is leading by example, everyone wants to save the world by using only 1 sheet of toilet paper.
Ms. Simpson, may I have just 1 more sheet?
I'm sorry, Johnny, but it's against school policy.
Now, Sheryl has even more practical ways to save the world when you need to go, like sharing your sheet with a friend.
Hey, you want this?
Maybe later.
I only used 1 side of it.
Or instead of toilet paper, try using discarded paper products you find beside the road.
Ow!
Or go native like the animals in the wild. And just don't wipe at all.
Honey, we're out of toilet paper! Oh, we're not out. We're just going paperless this year. Isn't it great? Just think about what you're doing to save the environment.
I'm gonna use the bath mat.
Oh, no.
Join Cheryl in her quest to save the world.
Hi, this is Cheryl Crow. I'm driving this huge bus around America to spread the word about global warming. And I can't wait to shake hands with each and every one of you.
Ew.
Yes, big anniversary there. Oh, those were the days. Princess.
Thank you
So, Prince,
for reviving that memory.
Yes, indeed. Yes, the blast from the past concerning your. I won't finish the rhyme. Princess Diana. So, the judges this week. We have had a number of these lawsuits that have just been a bunch more. Everything from Donald Trump. No, you're not allowed to reduce the federal workforce. No, you had 19 and more lawsuits. You had Letitia James after her big civil rights. By the way, that case against Letitia James, my humble estimation, it looks weak. After I read more into it, it looks really weak. But then you've had judges today. You heard this new judge has said that you can't deport the 2-year-old with her mama back to Honduras. So I guess the judge wanted the DOJ, the people at ICE to separate the family.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So where's all this going, Princess Di?
Well, interestingly enough, I think the headline in the Babylon Bee says it all. Trump leaves presidency to become even more powerful district court judge. Because it is true that these, individuals who are scattered around the country, and of course, leftists go judge shopping, have been stopping or slowing down Trump's agenda as often as possible. Interestingly enough, some statistics, there were 6 national injunctions under Bush 41. There were 12 for Obama, over 8 years. This is both of them. The Trump first presidency term, he had 64. Biden had 14, and so far, under Trump 2.0, there are 68 in just under days. So that tells you there is something amiss and something needs to be reined in. And, of course, there are outcries on our side for Congress to do something. And I do not think that most people are aware that Congress did pass the No Rogue Rulings Act of 2025. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay, let me tell you. This passed the House on April 9th. It was sponsored and written by California Representative Darrell Issa, who is a good conservative, and he basically he calls it the No Rogue Rulings Act of 2025, or NORRA, and he says enough is enough. And this bill bars district court judges from issuing nationwide injunctions. It passed 219 to 213 party line vote. And it is now before the Senate Judiciary Committee. And Chuck Grassley has also introduced that bill, the Senate version, into the Senate. So it is in process. And our side so often becomes very discouraged and doom and gloom. What's the use? Where are the arrests? Where is Congress? What's going on? There's no point. And our side, instead of being focused on the glass half full, which is full, of all of the things that are happening and that are moving, and then putting pressure on Congress and pressure on legislatures to make these things happen. Our side, and part of it is the media's fault, because I hadn't heard about it either until the other day. And so this is an important thing to follow and to be cognizant of, that this is something that Congress actually is working on. And it is within the jurisdiction of Congress to rein in judges, and they are doing it. Now, of course, it needs 60 votes in the Senate. So it is a high lift, a hard lift, because we have 53 Republicans, and there's not going to be full-blooded enthusiasm from our side either. But I think the pressure needs to be put on from our side to the senators that this is important to us. The other thing is, to answer the complaint on our side of where are the arrests, we have had 2, and you mentioned another one, arrests of judges. This has been huge, and you saw the Kash Patel post, I'm sure, on X, where he had the photo of this latest judge, Judge Hannah Dugan, in handcuffs, and his comment was, "No one is above the law," which is quoting back the line that every single elected Democrat quoted when Trump was in legal problems. And they all said that. But now they don't like that line, "No one is above the law," because they are all in hysterics over this judge rightly being arrested for hiding basically an illegal, violent immigrant who was in court to face the law, and she hastened him away from the ICE agents out the back door, and they had to do a chase. They finally did catch him. But the day before that, and I assume you talked about this, the Las Cruces, New Mexico judge who was arrested, his name was Joel Cano, and he actually had a Tren de Aragua gang member living in his house. Yes. In his house with 2 other illegals. And he was arrested because he took a hammer to the fellow's cell phone and destroyed it, because there were pictures in that cell phone of this TDA individual with guns in hand that were owned by the judge and his wife. So this was, I think the tip of the iceberg of a pattern of judges, not only by their rulings, but in their lives. They are basically in league with protecting physically, as best as they can, these illegal, violent offenders who have no legal right to be in this country, and who have committed horrible crimes. And so the judicial system on the left is basically part of the cartel of the illegal immigrants. And so in my view, those 2 arrests are huge and important encouragement that action is happening, and also that this law is in process. And we should feel and support that and put pressure on Congress. So I just wanted to remind people that the media doesn't tell you any good news hardly on our side, and we have to dig it out. So I'm glad you do that regularly, James.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And of course, we got to head to a break, but we'll do that and come back, because then I want to talk with you about student loans, because this is another big one this week. And I want you to hear some things. But the response that the New York Times had. The day of the arrest, the New York Times ran a story alongside of the reporting that the judge was arrested. Judges fear that Donald Trump is going to stop U.S. Marshals from protecting them. It's like these people are just shameless. They are nakedly, openly shameless. We had to take a break. Oh, yes. James Golden, Princess Di, is here with us. You don't have to say you love me. Dusty Springfield. Big anniversary for that song today. James Golden, Snerdley with you. Princess Di is here. Do not, whatever you do, do not leave. Stay right here.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I went and logged into my federal loan account, and this is what I found. I graduated in 2011 with $46,000 in student loan debt. My loan debt is now almost $90,000. In that time, I've been a social worker that has made income-based repayments on my loan for years, and that almost doubled. You want to know why people are pissed off about their student loans? It's not because we can't get anyone else to pay them for us. It is because you have set it up where we can never pay them off ourselves. And then you sit here and tell us into our faces that we are lazy, this is somehow our fault, while cheering on banks and auto industries and Elon Musk getting subsidies of millions of dollars a day. Anyone who still doesn't see that this is rigged against us can get
a little angry there. The Dusty Springfield thing was number one on the charts on this day in 1966. You don't have to say you love me. That song's been covered a lot. Now, this one, Paul McCartney. I so much love this song. Sir Paul. A lot of people had been complaining that Paul's songs didn't rock like John Lennon's songs. I think, I'm not 100% sure about this. Derek would know. But I think this was the answer to all of those critics. And this song, Silly Love Song, stayed 7 weeks at number one. And the album Wings at the Speed of Sound was number one on the U.S. album charts in 76. Sir Paul with Wings. Silly Love Songs. One of the greatest songwriters of all time, Paul McCartney. Princess Di is with us. Princess Di, you heard that woman when we came back complaining about student loans. What are your thoughts about that?
First of all, stop voting Democrat. Second of all, the reason for, and she's right, I mean, the generation that has been trapped into this system is suffering greatly, and I do not diminish that. But the reason for this horrible situation is due to the fact that there is government which is in charge of student loans now. That is a change from when I went to school and from when my eldest went to school. And so it is no longer private loans. And then now the bureaucracy has become so entrenched and complicated, and it has become a money siphoning to these liberal schools administrations. And, you know, as we found out, that their endowments are billions of dollars, and they still keep raising their prices. And so one of the reasons, and I've talked about this, no one else has really mentioned it, is the FAFSA form, which everyone has to fill out to get into college. It's universal, where you have to put down all of your financial information, and then they determine how much financial aid you get and what your loans are. And they don't tell you until you graduate what the bottom line is. And then you have to, I am telling you, you do not get what you owe until you are done, until you leave the school. It is everything is a complete mystery. And then because I have done, my younger daughter went through that. All of a sudden, we thought we had paid as we went, and got a bill from the school and from the government with more money owed that we had been basically shielded from knowing the amount. And they said, well, we don't know that until you're finished the course. But the FAFSA form is this unreported problem, and that's where all the control is of, you know, who owes what and what the bureaucracy is of paying it back. And so these young people have indeed been put in a terrible situation, colleges that don't educate, and money that cannot be paid back. It is distressing.
I want you to hold on. I want to play a few more reactions we have from people, but I think you just explained a lot of stuff that many of us did not know. This is crazy. Princess Di is here, folks. Snerdley, we're coming back. Saturday Morning Vibe. Keep it right there. Don't go away. Heavenly birthday tomorrow. Cuba Gooding Sr. Yes, this is Cuba Gooding's dad. With the Main Ingredient. He was the second lead singer for the Main Ingredient. First one died, sadly, early on, and then they recruited Cuba Gooding Jr. Main Ingredient. What a group. They were amazing. They did an album. Stevie Wonder produced at least one half of the album. It's called Aphrodisiac, and that album is just amazing. Amazing. They used a lot of the music from Stevie's Music of My Mind. They used Girl Blue, which Cuba Gooding does an amazing, stellar job in vocals. They did Superwoman, so many things. But this man had an incredible voice. You can hear it here. Of course, a lot of people know his son from the acting career in these days, the courtroom. A little hand problem there, some hand problems. A little touchy. But his dad, beautiful voice. And I met him, I think twice. Just a beautiful man. James Golden, Snerdley with you. Princess Di is here. Okay, Your Highness, you officially blew my mind.
Oh, dear.
You're telling me that people, and then I've been getting text. I got one text. Princess Diana is right. I still owe over $150,000 for the little bit of time I went to school. That's not counting what my son owes. Between the two of us, almost $300,000. Didn't know what was coming when the loan was signed. And so we hear these complaints about from these kids, and I'm sorry. I thought some of them were just whining. Okay? But you mean to tell me that these people loaned money out and did not disclose how much money was going to be required on the payback?
Yes, because it's kind of a floating scale, and you don't know how to calculate it, or the officials in FAFSA don't know how to calculate it until the schooling is done. So basically you're going in blind. And it is one reason that there is a quotient of the demographics, especially men, young men, who are enthusiastically running from the Democrat Party. A lot of them have been trapped into the system. We're above a lot of it. We escaped it in our earning years, our big earning years, and the economy and the rules that have flowed from the Democrat Party to that generation have been so onerous that they see it. And so that explains a lot of the flight away from the Democrat Party. And that's why I said a lot of these, the solution is stop voting Democrat, a lot of these problems.
I want to play for you. We've been storing up these all week. Just listen. We're going to play a few of them back to back. You may not have anything else to add to it, but if anything else comes to mind, listen, I just want people to hear some of the reaction and you too, some of the reaction on social media after the announcement that they were going to start garnishing wages, that they were going to start actually trying to collect some of this money that is due. Go ahead, Carlos. Let them rip.
How much do you owe in student loans, and how much have you paid? Because I just went and looked at how much I owe versus how much I paid. I graduated a decade ago, and I owed $50,000, right? And I said, you know what? I'm just going to be consistent. I'm going to pay my bill, and, eventually that amount will go down. And I've paid $200-something a month since then, right? $200-something a month. It has been 10 years later. I started at $50,000. It's at $47,000, right? I've paid $25,000+ since I graduated college, and it's only down $3. It's not making sense. It's not making sense. $200 is already a nice sized bill. What do you want me to do? Why does it have to be so aggressive? I'm not understanding. I'm trying to pay the money back. I'm giving you what I got. You know what I'm saying? Am I supposed to be paying it for the rest of my life? Do I have to pay $1,000 a month to see progress? Like, it's getting out of hand.
5.3 million people are about to go into default on their student loan debt, and the government, the Department of Education, will now be garnishing their wages. What can we do? Pull your money out of major banks. The 5.3 million people that are about to have their student loans go into default, if you are with a major bank, go to a credit union. You'll still be able to have your direct deposit, your checking, your savings. What this is going to do is pulling money out of the banks is going to financially hurt them. And if it's done in mass, it could possibly cripple them. What this is then going to do is put pressure on the government. Our votes aren't really doing anything anymore. We see nobody's coming to save us. The only thing that we're able to do right now is vote with our dollars and what we're spending them. Pull your money out of major banking institutions and put them into credit unions. Personally, I never went to college. I do not have college, or I do not have debt. I don't have kids. I'm not paying for anybody to go to college. But a better educated populace, and a populace that's able to make decisions because they are not saddled to debt, is better for the entirety of society. And I understand that. And we all need to band together for each other, because this is what this looks like.
You f***ers that keep saying, why should my tax dollars pay for other people's student loans? One, go f*** yourself. If your tax dollars did pay for student loans, it's because you're investing in society as a whole. A rising tide lifts all boats. The smarter that people are, the better off all of us are. But second, your tax dollars aren't paying for student loans. Our country makes billions of dollars from the interest of these student loans. Our country profits from student loans. So your tax dollars aren't paying for people's student loan interest forgiveness. If anything, sorry, but the country is not making a profit off the backs of people that needed to take out student loans to better themselves in life. I'm so sick of Republican viewpoint of, I don't want my tax dollars to pay for blah, blah, blah. What do you want tax dollars to pay for? You live in a society that offers you services. The government is not a business, it's a service. You literally take advantage of things all day that tax dollars pay for. All day. And if you didn't have these services that you pay taxes to pay for, then it would be private companies offering all of these services, and you'd be paying a ton more money.
So today Trump started talking about how he's going to force us to start paying back our student loans by garnishing our wages. And a lot of conservatives are really happy about that. They're saying, oh, thank God, all these freeloaders are going to pay back the money that they borrowed. Well, let me tell you something. I didn't borrow a damn dime. I was 17 years old. My mother forced me to take out that loan, and if I didn't, she was going to throw me out and make me homeless. So I'm not alone in this. I know that many, many children were put in the same situation, and the solution's simple. We should not have our wages garnished. The boomers should have their damn retirement accounts and Social Security checks garnished for forcing college onto us, forcing us to take unsustainable loans. It's just screwed up. Student loan forgiveness is the only ethical choice, and the boomers aren't going to give it to us, so we need to go after their money.
Well, Princess Di, those are just some of the voices. Any final thoughts on this for today? Because I want to revisit this.
Yes, we can talk about it further. I'll be happy to talk about FAFSA, which is a huge unreported story. But yes, I mean, the anger is real. You hear a lot of the economic, ignorance by young people. But again, that's the fault of poor education, which is what they are in debt to have reached. They're not well educated, and yet they owe so much, and it takes away from their future. And the word unsustainable is correct, but it is all the result of terrible Democrat policies that have trapped them. And this is why so many, especially young men, are not going to college, which is the best decision. Instead, going into the trade. You have no debt and you have the ability to support yourself and your family. And right now, that is the best thing, is not to take away money from the banks. Take away the money from the schools so that they have to reform.
Wow. Princess, I want to talk about this further. What you laid on me today with this information is astounding. Astounding. And it has totally flipped my view on this 100%. This is astounding. Oh, James, thank you, Princess Diana.
Thank you, Sir James.
I tell you what, folks, this is, I don't know whether you all knew this, unless you're in it and you don't know. And I'm getting text, Debbie Duhame, the government needs to change this. Well, and by the way, I also got this from Lady Benedict. News alert, the government can garnish wages from a credit union account too. Credit unions also gave government-sponsored student loans. So do you close your account at the credit union and go to a big bank? And once you're reported credit, you can't open an account anywhere once your credit's bad. So, wow, what a rabbit hole. What are we doing here, Carlos?
This is George Jones.
Yeah. Carlos playing country. We got to take a break real quick. George Jones passed away 2013 on this day. One of the most successful country artists ever. Coming back, America's small caffeinated mom, Rhonda Schrock. Y'all don't go away, y'all. Keep it right here, y'all.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Dear friend, Patrick Burns, who checked in earlier today. Hey, Patrick, one of the great conductors of our times. This, of course, Urban Hymns album, The Verve, who announced on this day in 1999 that they were splitting up. Oh, well. This student loan thing's blown my mind, but we have with us now, ladies and gentlemen, someone else to blow your mind in a good way. Our very own America's small caffeinated mom, Rhonda Schrock. Good morning, Rhonda. How are you? And what do you have in mind for us today?
Yes. Well, one, I'm doing great, James. One quick note on the story you just covered about the student loans. That is one of the many reasons that this family loves Hillsdale College. They do not take one penny of federal money, and so they are completely free of all of that. Our son, who graduated from Hillsdale 2 years ago, graduated with far less debt, actually, than he would have had he just gone to a different school. So anyway, I just wanted to drop that in there. There are alternatives to the FAFSA form and all of that. But anyway, my story today starts back in 2015. The second one of our four sons went on a worldwide mission trip. It was 11 countries in 11 months. He and a team of 40 other young adults backpacked around the world, working with different ministries and charities in those 11 countries. Well, he came back in 2016, and it was not long after he was back stateside that I got a text on my phone one night. So I picked it up, and it was a number I did not recognize. It was not in my contacts. I didn't even know what the area code was for. And before I could even answer it, tweet, more messages were coming in. So I'm looking at these messages from someone whose name I don't know, and he or she is in terrible crisis. I mean, just in shreds. And I'm going to change the name to protect the person. This was the first text that came in. Hey, it's Carol. Please pray for us. I spent last night in jail. Well, that's quite a message to get from someone you don't know. So row upon row of words and messages kept coming into my phone, and they were just stitching together in this crazy quilt of violence and fear and just terrible turmoil. Please just pray for us, said this stranger. My daughter is traumatized. So I picked up my phone again and I started typing, Carol who? I got a text, 4 question marks. Who's this? So I just texted back, you must have the wrong number. And I sent it. And then I thought, I texted her, but I can pray for you anyway. I remember stopping right there and just thinking, what does this person in distress need? Lord, what do I tell her? And the Lord said, Tell her to be still. And instantly my mind is back in the greatest book of poetry that's ever been written, the book of Psalms. And so I texted her this, be still and know that he is God. So I waited and I sat there for a little bit, and then I sent one more message. I have asked God to bring order to your chaos. And I hit send. And one more, again, not having any idea who these words were going to. I got one more text back. Thank you, says the stranger. You don't know what your timely message from a stranger meant to my daughter and me. Well, weeks and months went by, and I completely forgot about it. Then the following spring, early one morning as I was just waking up, I heard my phone tweet as a text was coming in, and this is what it said. Good morning. This is Carol, and wow, I just realized that you texted me that day in August. You will be blown away when I tell you. And so she wanted to call me. So I thought, well, what is happening? Who is this? So I looked back up through my messages. Oh, my goodness. It's the stranger who texted me clear back last summer. It's the stranger I sent those words of encouragement and love to. She said, can I call you? And I'm still not understanding what is happening. I said, sure, you can call me. She calls me, and we begin to talk, and all of a sudden I realize who I'm talking to. Back when my son was on the other side of the world, her daughter was also with him and the team members on the other side of the world. And we had met in Thailand when a group of parents traveled over there to be with our sons and daughters who were doing the work. And we spent time and we got to know each other, but we had not exchanged phone numbers, like we had not put them into our phones. And so for some reason that early spring day, she thought of me, and she went back into her Facebook messages, found my phone number, put it into her phone, and all at once she realized who had texted her. James, she sent me a screenshot. She had not texted me that first text that said, please pray for us. I spent the night in jail. I sent her a screenshot of my phone. The text was on my screen. I could see both. There are some things that happen in life that there is no human or logical explanation for. She had not sent me that text from her phone, but I received that text from her phone. It was amazing. And so she told me what had been going on. The tectonic plates in their family were just shifting and crushing, and they were in a time of terrible distress. And so this is what I told her. So you know, my friend, that God has your back. This is confirmation of that. And your kids, he's got them too. 5 years later, my own son, my oldest son, was lost to us in the world of drug addiction, and he was in a dark place. And I remember falling asleep. Just before I fell asleep one night, I prayed and I said, God, as I have been faithful to speak life to other people's sons and daughters, and everyone is someone else's kid, James, send someone to speak to mine. And the next day when I was actually able to speak to him, he told me a crazy story. He said, Mom, a stranger came by. I was panhandling on the corner, and he offered me money for food, and I thanked him, and he left. And pretty soon he came back and he said, I had a motel room up the road. I'm not using the last night. If you want to get off the street and shower, I'll be happy to let you use it. And my son, out of his mind on drugs, he thanked him, and the man left. And quite a while later, he came back the third time, this stranger. And my son does not know that I had just prayed that the night before. And the strange man, it was during COVID, he said, look, I was 30 minutes up the road, and God told me to come back here and tell you that your time is short, and you had better get right with God. I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know if you're going to be injured, if you're going to be killed, if you're going to go to jail, but you had better get right with God. And when I heard those words from my son, I just wept, because I saw that the hand of God, unbeknownst to him, was moving. in response to my prayers through a total stranger that came in front of him on a sidewalk on a hot day in Texas. My son told me later those words in that timely warning were just enough to tell him that God's eye was still on him in his awful condition. And it was just enough of the fear of God that I believe in my heart of hearts that it kept him from completely imploding and being lost to us forever. It is a wonderful thing when the hand of God intervenes in the affairs of humankind. It is also wonderful to be part of that divine intervention.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Rhonda, where can people find your essay?
When a Stranger Calls and Love Answers is on thedailybs.com, and my home in cyberspace is rhondaschrock.com.
Rhonda, thank you as always. We have to beat it, folks. May God bless and protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude always for your being here with me and allowing me to be with you. God willing, we are all back next week. Same time, same place. Until then, my friends, with thanks for my crew, as always, I bid you adieu. Bye.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.